Welcome to Kick 'Em in the Head, a podcast that takes an inside look at the world of mixed martial arts, featuring interviews with some of the top fighters from South Africa and around the world, with a focus on the EFC and UFC promotions. I'm your host, Yao. Join us as we delve deep into the techniques, strategies, and mindsets of these world-class athletes, learning from their experiences and gaining insights into what it takes to succeed in the toughest sport on earth. Welcome everyone to the Kick 'Em in the Head podcast. And as always, I'm your host Yao with a jam-packed MMA episode. Today we have Shorty Torres, a formidable fighter, competitor out of Brave CF, Brave Combat Federation. Jose is a highly skilled and respected competitor in the world of MMA, known for his resilience and strategic fighting techniques. Torres has earned the admiration of fans and peers alike across the entire MMA world. His success in the Brave Combat Federation showcases his dedication and prowess in the sport. As he prepares for a trilogy fight against Nkosi Ndebele in Mauritius, Torres seeks redemption and a chance to reclaim his title. This pivotal matchup represents an unwavering commitment to him proving himself as one of the elite fighters in MMA and redefining his legacy. Shorty Torres, welcome to the Kick 'Em in the Head podcast.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. An amazing introduction. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure. Now, not a lot of people who watch our podcast would know who you are, so we're going to ask you a few questions just to get to know you a little better. First question, who's your favorite fighter in Brave, other than yourself, obviously?
Oh, man. And Brave, I don't know. It's funny because it can be Brave, it could be UFC, Bellator, PFL, all these different promotions. I never really look up to any other fighters. I think for me, my favorite fighter growing up was Manny Pacquiao. I loved Manny Pacquiao. Just eight division world champ. Fought some of the best in the world. Pound for pound king. Small guy moving up all the way up to all the weight classes he did. I mean, he's an inspiration. Has his own foundation. Does stuff politically for his country. I mean, he always gets back to his community. But if I have to think of Brave fighters, I mean, I believe it's super lightweight champion Eldar Eldarov, Ramazan Gitanov, who's going to fight on the same card as myself, Mauritius. He's the first ever 3-time IMAF world champion. Man, the list can definitely go on where I start picking fighters, but they're more than likely a lot of my teammates. So it's a little biased.
Nothing wrong with a little bias. If they're great, they are great. But you just mentioned
actually, I do have one fighter who scares the living soul out of me, and that's I'm trying to say his first name correct, but it's Eliezer Kubanza, who's gonna also fight on the card. That man, King Kong, is like, I'm glad I'm fighting his teammate and not him. Like backstage when he's screaming, because he was there for the last fight, he's screaming, getting all into it, and I'm just like, one, that's really cool, but two, I am so glad I'm not fighting him.
You know what? Let's talk a little bit more about Eliezer Kubanza quickly. Now, like you said, he's fighting on this Brave 82 card, and I'm a big fan of him, big fan of his journey, mostly because his debut fight in Brave was by a head kick win. And as you know, this podcast is called Kick 'Em in the Head. So Absolutely love that. What do you think about other than being scared of him and fighting his teammates, what do you think about his journey so far in his few fights in Brave?
I got to speak to him a lot because there was 3 back-to-back events in Bahrain for the last time when I fought Nkosi, and Kubanza was on one of the cards. And him and I and Nkosi would end up in the training room together, have to work out at the same time, sauna room together, stuff like that. And we had a lot of time to sit down, catch up, and just reminisce, talk about the sport. And these are 2 fighters, both of them, but Kubanza especially because he's been fighting since he was a little kid, that they come from very rough upbringings, and they're this good naturally from their home country. They haven't really expanded out to traveling. This was the first fight that Nkosi was able to go to Bali, get a training camp, and we saw how much better he was able to come to that next fight with me. But with Kubanza, he's never been to Bali. So this camp, he's finally in Bali, he's training hard, and it's going to be his first camp outside of just the continent of Africa, where he's training extremely hard and getting different looks. I mean, Kubanza's a monster, but he's also still technically a very big fish, but a big fish in a little pond. He leaves Africa. Now he's in Bali training with other high level professional fighters. Man, he's going to be a very, very dangerous person. I think he's probably one of the most exciting fighters naturally because even his last fight, he got hit. You can tell he got rocked. He's like, oh, like you hit me well, caught me off guard. And then he just starches his opponents to where when he knocked him out, it wasn't like, oh, cool, like good knockout. This guy's gonna get up in a few minutes and he'll be fine. Like we're like, no, we need to call an ambulance. This guy looks like he needs to go to the hospital because that shot looked like it killed him. That's how he hits people. So with Kubanza, I have nothing but good things to say. Very scary fighter. I'm sad that he has to be in my opponent's corner, but it's also part of the sport. And I'm just excited to see how his career comes out, especially after his first training camp in Bali.
Well, let's switch it around a little bit. Getting back to you now, your career has seen a heck of a trajectory. We saw you winning the bantamweight title out in Colombia, and then obviously coming back against Nkosi, losing the second fight. How are you feeling about this trilogy, and how this trilogy is adding to your legacy as a fighter in MMA and everything that you've done in the sport, cross promotions? How are you feeling about this trilogy, and where do you see your career going after this?
I'm happy about the trilogy. It's like it's a give and take because there's a pro and con with everything. The con is I lost. The pro is because I lost, and again I don't, and this is I'm very happy with my career. I haven't lost often. I've lost 3 fights total out of I think 41 MMA fights, amateur and pro. So for me, I've had a successful career. And I'm very fortunate and happy about it. But when you lose, besides the pain of it kind of reignites the fire. And I've had so many fights where it's like, well, you get content. I've had accomplishments and done so many things that I'm like, I'll beat this man. I'll do this. I'll be fine. And after the first fight, I was like, okay, cool. I beat the man, whether it was split decision or whatever the case may be. Going to the next fight, I'm like, oh, it's not going to be much different. Let me just have fun. And I wouldn't say I didn't do what I should have. I didn't move my head. I kind of dumbed down my skill levels, having fun. And I'm like, okay, he's tiring out. I'm slowly coming back in this fight. Long term, as the fight goes on, I have the strength, and out of nowhere, I'm bleeding, and I'm like, oh, hey, Ego, I need you to help me out. And well, Ego runs away when it's in danger, and out of nowhere, I'm leaving myself susceptible to getting more hits because I can't see from this side. I get cut from this side. And after a while, it's like, man, this is just kind of pointless. Like I can tell he's being nice to me because he sees the cuts, and Brave is letting me continue. But I'm like, there's no reason to go out on my shield. One, because I know there's gonna be a trilogy for sure. But then two is there's no point to get knocked out and then now there is no trilogy or something breaks and then I have to wait a whole year, whatever the case may be. So I played the safe and smart decision. It hurts pridefully, because no fighter wants to quit. I feel like Roberto Duran when he fought Sugar Ray Leonard, where he's like, no mas, it's like, so for me, it's a painful experience, but it's a good pain to remember to leading up to that next fight. And even it taught me a lot emotionally about myself of how I need to fight because I notice when I fight angry or cocky, whatever the case may be, I'm very one dimensional, very one minded, single minded. I'm only looking for the blood. I'm hungry for blood, but I need to have fun in the fight, but enjoy myself in a very positive, relaxing way. So that's the way I'm going into the next fight, and I look at Nkosi that I helped him get better for that second fight. Now he's helping me get better for the third fight, and him and I are both gonna just show the best of ourselves. So I'm really excited for that.
So you've mentioned quite a bit there in terms of how you're looking to go into the fight and how you're looking to fight this fight. How do you prep mentally for a fight like this? Because, like you said, it took a lot from you privately in a few other ways when you had to, verbally submit in that fight. How are you mentally preparing for that to obviously get over that and get better for this fight?
Well, I know for me, I cornered a guy named Lazy Boy for his UFC debut, and I met a coach named Mike. Him and I got along very well. I was like, hey man, come to the States, help me train for this fight. And I do trust you. Most of my coaches, I don't they're not just friends, they're brothers. So if I need something, they're not just there to get paid, they're there to help me. Not just physically, but mentally. It's people I can talk to, vent to, whether it's relationship problems, problems with the family, life in general, stress. So being able to open up with somebody like Mike has been helping me a lot. I'm not used to receiving help. I'm not used to asking for help. I'm a very prideful person, And I think that's a big thing where it's like, hey, these are genuine people trying to help me. They're not looking for money. They're not looking to raise their career because of me. It helps. That's a benefit for sure, but that's not what they're in there for. It's just a plus. So for me, being able to have a team with me, open up to people, I guess vent on my emotions more, the mental health, something I always post about on my social media, but also realize through multiple sparring sessions against very similar guys like Nkosi, when I'm very, like, I guess you want to say, like, egotistical or even cocky at times, I get hit a lot. I'm like, I'm fine, this, that, but now I can't do that because I got cuts from the last fight, cut here and cut here. That's technically 5 months after the fight. It might be healed on the outside, but is it healed on the
Mm,
inside? And
mm,
I've also been sparring with headgears, and Kosi's very long and bony. So with that being said, even if in the second fight I'm like, oh, and my mindset was like, oh, he doesn't hit hard, I'm fine. But my body is obviously telling me something different, where I'm still taking damage, my eyes slowly getting big, and eventually this eye explodes, and whatever the case may be. So with me now, I can't start slow, and there's the danger of even one little punch can open up a cut again. So I have to change my whole different game plan. And I think being able to have multiple sparring sessions that I had for this camp and realizing how mentally I operate, or realizing again, because sometimes we forget how we function ourselves. I need to have fun. And for me, that's what I've been doing, is trying to have fun, try to relax, and not make it as big as a deal as maybe even the world makes it that way. To me, it's just another fight. Win or lose, I'm gonna fight again. I win, I'll defend the belt. I lose, I'm working back up to the belt. So no matter what, I'm gonna fight again. I'm gonna get paid. No one's dying, for hopefully, knock on wood, for the most part. And we're just gonna have a good time, and hopefully the best me shows up. And if I go in there smiling, it's a very dangerous fighter.
very dangerous fight indeed. I think one thing you said there is echoed by what the president of Brave CF said, Mohammed Shahid. He said, yes, you came out slow and you were looking to start, getting better over the rounds in the last
Yeah.
fight. But this fight, you need to come out quicker, harder. And you've echoed that. So that's I guess, encouraging if he's listening or when he listens to this. Yes, Mohammed, we're talking to you. So,
Shahid knows me extremely well. We used to punch each other in the face back in 2015, and he's a phenomenal fighter as well, phenomenal president, CEO. And the one thing I do like about him is that because he knows me extremely well, he will tell me, like, hey man, you can't do certain things. If not, you are going to get beat up. And listening to those podcasts, it also helps reiterate in my head of, he's right. He's not just a fighter, but he's also a fighter who's been in there and sees an outside perspective as a coach, and a person that I believe he cares about me as well, going like, hey, you need to do this. If not, you will lose. So just be ready for that.
and it's amazing getting that kind of advice coming from the president, someone who's at the top of the organization who still cares about the fighters. Because as we know, fighter care and fighter support is one of the most important things in MMA because that doesn't come everywhere. And Brave CF, I think kudos to them for definitely looking after their fighters. The fighters that I know that fight there all seem to be fairly happy with the organization. So big ups to them.
Oh, very much so. Brave has done a lot for fighters, and they treat everyone from the first fight all the way to the last fight almost equally the same. And I think it's a phenomenal experience that they highlight everyone, and that's very rare for a lot of promotions to do.
So, curveball question. What's your favorite movie about fighting?
My favorite movie about fighting. Ooh, that's a good one. Ah, man, if we're talking about like maybe boxing fights or like actual professional fights, maybe a true life story. There's a lot of movies with Roberto Duran or Mickey Ward, or I'm hoping one day they make a actual professional movie with Manny Pacquiao. I don't know who they're gonna fly in for that, but you
Pac-Man.
know, for me, I love martial arts movies. I grew up watching Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee movies, Rumble in the Bronx, The Drunken Master, Enter the Dragon, Return of the Dragon with Chuck Norris. All these different movies are always fun and inspiring to me. And or the Raid Redemption or the Raid Redemption 2, like all those very brutal but martial arts movies that involve a lot of skill to do. I do a lot of choreography, and I used to act in models. So when I would do fight scenes for movies, I'd realize how much talent it actually took. Me, I did martial arts, I did karate, I did all these different things. So I was acrobatic and knew how to do it. But the average person, I'm like, yeah, do this. And they didn't know how to throw a regular punch. So seeing the American movies, especially versus, some of the movies on the east side of the world, is spectacular to see how much different they are when it comes to the camera angles, the visuals, all that stuff, man. I love the choreography that the eastern part of the world does with martial art films, and they're not the quick cuts like you see in Fast and the Furious, and all these American fighters moving. It's like you don't really even see the fight, So for me, I love old school like Jackie Chan movies. Those are probably my favorite because they're also funny as well.
Absolutely hilarious. And we all love Jackie Chan. At the last fight, we saw all the glitz and glamour that came with fighting in the Middle East, in the middle of Bahrain.
Mhm.
What's your Hollywood moment so far in your career? What's that moment that you think about and say, you know what? They could make a movie about this. Like, what's that moment for you so far?
Man, I don't know. When it comes to the movie moments, see, my life, I travel so much. Like, for example, after this fight, so this camp, I've been to this year, should I say, I've been to Mexico for 2 months, coaching a fighter. Then I came back to Chicago, relaxed for a week, came to Vegas, got to Vegas for 2 weeks, went to Guyana to, help another promotion, local promotion come up. Then I came back to Vegas, finished my camp. Now I'll be going to Mauritius to fight a country and a continent that I've never been to before, fight there. Then I come back to Vegas for a week, go to Chicago for a week, go to Florida for a week to help another local promotion, go to, I believe it's Trinidad for, oh no, no, excuse me, Grenada for a week, come back to Chicago, go to Trinidad, go
Wow.
back, go to St. Lucia's, come back. I'm supposed to go to Canada. So for me, I corner a lot of fighters. I help a lot of promotions. I do a lot of different things. So when it comes to my life is almost like a comedy because you never know what's gonna happen. But it's a funny comedy because things can go great, things can go bad, but I'm also such a relaxed person that I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing this today. Like people have to ask me, like, dude, I don't know if you ever heard of this show. There's a game show back in the day called World in the World is Carmen San Diego, and
Yep.
that they had to find out where she was, and that's pretty much my lifestyle. They're like, dude, where are you? Because you never know where I'm gonna be, or people are trying to hang out, and I'm always gone. So my celebrity moment is if you can catch me, put on a camera, and you're gonna usually find something pretty hilarious.
I absolutely love that. Your life being martial arts comedy. You don't have very many of those. Well, not in the West, but definitely, like you said, the old Jackie Chan movies, a nice martial arts comedy movie. Absolutely love that. So, if people are looking to find you on social media, where would they be able to find you? What are your social media handles?
My biggest thing right now, and I kind of just try to stick to it, is Jose Shorty Torres on Instagram. Besides being able to follow me, my fight career, even just my social life a little bit, I post a lot of mental health stuff. As we all go through, especially as gentlemen, sometimes midlife crisis or some point in our mid 20s, mid 30s, or just any point in our life, we battle depression or random factors in our life that come out of nowhere. We lose a job, lose a relationship, lose a family member, and whatever other opportunities and experiences. And we usually don't open up and talk to people. And I have definitely been a fault of that, hurting people mentally when it comes to I'm not handling my own problems. So I end up throwing my problems out on people because of the way I'm acting. So I put out a bunch of different mental health posts that relate to many different topics that I've talked about today. So not just follow me or don't just follow me because you enjoy me as a fighter. If you do, I appreciate that. It just also comes with the benefit of you might have some mental health questions that I possibly can help with. I usually let people vent to me because hopefully they feel vulnerable enough with me. And I put a lot of mental health posts every single weekday, and then every Sunday I do a Sunday question day. Whether you're asking about my fight, whether you're asking about my mental health, whether you're asking about like just whatever the case may be, my life is a reality show, and I don't mind posting everything out there. And because I have a blue check mark, doesn't mean I'm better than you. I'm just an average person that just so happens to have a blue check mark, and this many followers. I'm just happy to be blessed to have all this opportunity. And if you want to follow me, awesome. If you don't, I appreciate you, and maybe one day you will.
And to everyone listening, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe at Shorty Torres. Now, I think what you said resonates with me because, especially when it comes to mental health and working with some of the fighters you work with, from what I see in Brave, there's a lot of the IMAF fighters that come through Brave. Now, that's then your young amateur fighters who aren't really in the space of high level competition, high level professional competition. So, having fighters like you who are there to give them the support, mental support, especially with mental health in those environments, is very, very critically important. So, for me, definitely, thank you for helping all those other fighters out there who would need that extra motivation on that specific day, or that extra motivation to get through that one gym session that gets them to their next shot, to their next fight. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that, Shorty Torres.
I
Definitely,
appreciate
definitely.
that, man. Thank you. It means a lot. I sponsor fighters as well. I sponsor good people, not good athletes. I don't care how good you are, because some good athletes aren't the best people in the world. So for me, I'm just trying to give different people different opportunities. What it is with sponsorship, money, stuff like that, or like you said, advice, mental health, and a closed mouth don't get fed, so it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask. So if anyone wants to have a chat with you, definitely you've gotten anyone who's listening has gotten the social media handles. Reach out to Shorty Torres. Shorty, we've come to the end of this interview. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the trilogy fight against Nkosi the Future Ndebele at Brave CF 82 in Mauritius on the 11th of May. It's going to be spectacular, an absolutely spectacular card. Ahead of that, I think there's one way we like to end our interviews. I'm not sure if you know what it is. I'm pretty sure you don't know what it is.
Please tell me.
Can we get a nice, loud, big kick him in the head from you?
Yeah.
On
So how do
three.
you want me to do it? You want me to scream it out, or how do you want? How do you
Yes.
want this?
As loud as you can. Yes, yes, yes.
Well, I just want to say this is Jose Shorty Torres, and I was on the Kick Him in the Head podcast. I appreciate it.
That's right. That's how we do it. To everyone listening, once again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe at Head Kick Pod on all our platforms at Shorty Torres. Looking forward to Brave CF. Shorty, we will hopefully speak to you again soon, and good luck with your fight against Nkosi the Future Ndebele.
Pleasure, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Cheers.